Welcome to the Wrap Up 2024 from VisioNxt. Today we are going to talk about those impacting trends from 2024 and then how the trends will shape or create a formidable direction for the next year. This year we are majorly collaborating a lot of directions together towards consciousness, because past 2 years we have looked towards a healing section where we thought the world needs a lot of healing from the pandemic. But this year onwards, individuals and the society at large started becoming conscious of their existence and then started understanding how they can define or redefine themselves. In the Wrap Up 2024, you will be looking at around 8 paradoxes. Yes, this year we are looking at a great global paradox, a kind of situation where there are multiple paradoxes at one time. So 8 paradoxes we'll be explaining in these slides. Paradoxes which might impact you, and you must have seen that in a form of a war and peace, in a form of cure and pain, the falling currency, and maybe also declining poverty. We are also seeing a lot of comebacks happening, political comebacks, coming back to the identity, coming back as a society. We are also seeing a lot of conflicts which might bring in a lot of connections. And then at large, we are also seeing the wars are continuing. So we see a lot of paradoxes in 2024, and I'll be explaining you some of these paradoxes as such, 8 of them. The first paradox, which I define as the great global paradox as part of sustainability or the environmental consciousness, where we understood just a few days back a report came out and we understood that we have consumed the synthetic fiber in past 10 years much higher than past few decades. Which means that in one hand, we have been talking about sustainability, environmental consciousness, second-hand apparel market, and then the thrift store. But in the other side, the consumption of synthetics are increasing exponentially high. Not only that, if you see the yellow box, you will understand that we are talking about the reduction of team members in sustainability. So recently, just came to know that Nike has reduced almost 30% of its team in sustainability. Similarly, many other companies are doing that. Even Unilever merged their sustainability role with other roles as such. Whereas in that paradox, we understand that the word sustainability has been searched profusely well. That means if you can see that, that's a little map which I am showing in India, how this world is being searched. And if you see that the word is growing for past 5 years, the search is growing. We also see that the country has become pretty strong in the context of second-hand apparel market, and it's being predicted to be going much higher on it. So it's pretty strong global conflict. We call them a paradox in front of us. We need to decide how we want to take it up as a sustainability or as an environment consciousness at large. The second paradox is the aging paradox. In one hand, we have countries where the population is aging, and a large number of nations are becoming much aged in this context. However, a few underdogs are becoming younger. So if you see this information, you will understand that 10 youngest nations in the world are mostly in Africa, which means that African nations are becoming younger, whereas most of the developed nations in the other side of the world are becoming more silver hair in this context. What will happen with it in context of fashion? We see a lot of focus going to be moving towards African nations at large. And we also saw a very interesting argument which was happening in social media, which says why international magazine like Vogue is not having Vogue Africa. Maybe we don't argue in that tone, because Africa is a continent, Africa is not a country. And then maybe Vogue needs to have different versions of Vogue in different countries of Africa. However, there is a big talk about racism going on and why Africa should be out of Vogue's focus as such. So we will see a lot of investments moving towards Africa at large in the domain of fashion. In other hand, we are also seeing a very interesting positive paradox called positive loners. Whereas we understand that globally 2 out of 5 people or our species are basically called or proclaimed as loners. And in Global Health Organization or World Health Organization WHO said that almost 10% of adolescents in India are lonely. In one hand, loneliness is stigmatized, but if you see these little infographics in the other side, we see that a lot of local community support is increasing. That means a lot of local communities are coming up and supporting the issues and related stigmatizations on loners, especially depressed, and different mental health issues. So we see a community involvement is increasing at one end, whereas the loneliness is also parallelly increasing as such. So we call them as a positive loner, which we saw in this year. In another paradox, we understand that the entire species of us are running to work hard, working hard in context of relationships, working hard in context of economy, working hard in context of technology. But in other hand, we also see the global, human beings, I will say the globe requires pretty good sleep, which means that sleep deprivation is increasing, whereas the work culture is ruthlessly talking about not to go to sleep but working together. So it's a typical paradox, and this paradox being discussed but not being focused, I will say, at this moment in India. However, if you see that, it says around 61% of Indians don't sleep well. It also says that, very interestingly, the 61% of populations who's not sleeping well, many of them are taking multiple toilet breaks. It says multiple breaks to go to washroom. Now, it might not be only for the sleep deprivation, but it can also indicate a lot of issues related to other health activities or health related disorders, including type 2 diabetics, because it says visiting washroom multiple times. So it is also indicating a kind of a disease or a lot of diseases which are underlined under sleeplessness as part of it. The other paradox what we see is a growth of being silly. When we say growth of being silly, you can see a very interesting aspect of it. The silliness, or to do things which are actually not so smarter, are being considered as a serious activity now. For example, the 3 videos what I am showing here, the first video talks about a family where the wife and the children are basically dolls. And in fact, it talks about also that the wife is pregnant, it's a mannequin, or she is a mannequin. And the person is talking so seriously, and if you see, even the interviewer is very serious. It sounds very silly, almost looks like a child's play, but it appears to be pretty serious. Similarly, the brooch in the side looks creepy, but it is again a very serious product. In the other hand, in the other side of the world, we see someone is trying to open a packet with a absolutely absurd activity. Just because it's written as tear here, somebody is trying to just drop tears there. I mean, it's so silly as such. But this is where the world is moving. It's an interesting paradox, because at one time we are looking for a very serious world with technology, with improvement, with the issues of sustainability. In the other side, we are looking at a world which goes to become silly like a child. The other paradox, very interestingly, is about water. In fact, water is going to be a bigger issue at this moment. It's not just sustainability, it's much deeper down. So sustainability will be now broken into smaller parts and discussed separately. So water crisis is one of the biggest issues in India at this moment, where the seawater is increasing as such. In fact, it says almost 3 cities of India might go under this seawater by 2050, or maybe before that. Whereas the groundwater is getting drier in India, and then graphs you can see that how the water level is going down. Very interesting paradox, but it is really serious issue to look at, because in 2024 we started understanding how difficult is a water issue, because we found that a very prosperous city like Bangalore has gone absolutely dry. There was no water sources in the ground level. It was a scarcity of water across Indian water plates across many other cities, especially South India. We also understood a very interesting context where we talk about that many more Indians are going in cyberspace, whereas cybersecurity has become a big issue. Almost 63% surge in cybercrime in 2024. India recorded 7,000 cyber complaints across different nations, different cities as such. It goes with a very interesting pointer, because at the same time we also understand that almost 83% of India's young population or the younger cohort remains unemployed. Over it, the most interesting part is that this 83% of this population are having basic education, that means secondary education, and some of them also have higher education. It's a Times report 2024, and both of them goes hand by hand. The increase in cybercrime and the increase in the number of unemployed yet educated youth population goes hand in hand, and we will see that might be growing in next few years as part of it. We also been concerned from this year about the aging population of India, because India is rapidly aging. By 2050, we'll have almost 20.8% of the population which will cross the silver hair limits. 149 million people across India were basically above the age of 60 years in the year of 2022, and it is around 10.5% of the country's population, and it's going pretty fast. It's also a bit concerning because almost 18.7% of them don't have earning, and a lot of money being spent on the CSR, especially for the silver hair, which will be a big increase in next few years as such. So government needs to look at the policies to look at silver hair population as such. We also understood that there is a rapid growth in the healthcare sector, and we noted that the healthcare sector is going to grow, and it started getting in a mapped situation this year onward, and we will see it growing next year onward also as such. The 5 big mega trends which we are looking at this moment are here. The first one is about the rise of water consciousness. As I have mentioned earlier, the water has become a bigger issue in this context, and now we will think about water. 2025 will make us think about water in much more constructive manner. The other issues what we are looking at is rise of anti-cyber crime awareness. We will see a lot of communities are growing around it. We also will see a rise of silver hair. I call it as a care core. It's a very big mega trend. It's a mega trend which is going to hit on 2025 and will grow for next 20 years as such. The other one which I am looking at is the rise of community of positivity towards mental health in India as such, and a rise of origin or identity. So let's take one by one. A rise of water consciousness, we will see a lot of designs coming out around it. The designs which will be basically saving water, maybe generating water or regenerating water. This will be one big direction which we call as a mega master trend as such. So water is going to be a bigger concern for us in India especially. There will be a lot of projects coming towards it. L'Oreal started something called a technology to reduce water consumption in most of the spaces for L'Oreal. Similarly, many other designs will come in this domain where a solar heated water filter might be used. So a major design concern will be towards and around water as such. The next mega trend which we are talking about is rise of anti-cybercrime, where we are talking about people knowing about cybercrime. In the awareness of cybercrime is much lesser in India, and it is almost minuscule at this moment. We don't know where to go apart from police for getting help in cybercrime. So there will be a lot of personal spaces, giving a personal space, talking about cybercrime. This all will increase in the year 2025. We call them as a big look forward or a way forward for us. In fashion, we'll be seeing a boom on cybercrime based products, the products which we'll be talking about less trust, like zero trust product, or maybe a community t-shirt which will talk about people remaining antisocial. When we say antisocial, we are talking about them who will be just dropping off from social media, won't have their photograph in the DPs of WhatsApps, will not share their phone number, maybe them who will be trying to be more cautious when they are talking about their own personal identity and try to save their space. So this is what is going to impact us large when it comes to product, but there will be a desi turn on it, where I'll be talking about a lot of products which will say that don't look at my space, it is my space. We have a concept of Nazar Bhattu, which basically talks about protecting or safeguarding one from the bad eyes or evil eyes. So we'll see a lot of evil eyes coming back in this space, and then not only evil eyes, we'll be also seeing a lot of masks, anti-evil masks to protect self. So these are very Indian context. This bag talking about keep distance will be something which might be a key guideline to multiple such products coming in direction. We'll also see communities when we are talking about community development. For example, products which will say that it is my space, my community, my personal social media. Don't come and comment here. Don't try to intervene in my, writings or my thought as part of it. The other mega trend way forward 2025 is a raise of community about positivity towards mental health and healing. Here we are talking about community-based support when it comes to mental health. And one of these will be very strong Gen Z dominated communities or Gen Z led community as such. For example, a community in Mumbai called Socially Sold talks about a common space where Gen Z and Gen Alpha can come together and start talking about their own issues, about mental health, about being lonely. This kind of gatherings will increase in 2025, and we will see a lot of them coming in directions. We'll also see a lot of products which will be on self or personal healing. A candle will be increasing, the sale of candles. We are just showing a little trend. The search of scented candles in India increased pretty well, pretty strong in 2024, and we'll see this growing as future. The candles will move into candles which will be more vegan. For example, these two companies sell soya candles, soya milk candle. Alternative of products will come in market. Also, we'll have a lot of lava stones coming back with healing perfumes, understanding the context of mental health at large. These are from H&M, but there are multiple local sources which will be coming, including little jewelries with lava stones. Diffusers with aromatherapy will be coming at large. We will see a lot of them coming in 2025. The trend of silver hair increases at large. We call them as a care core, and care core will be a direction where we are talking about more comfortable garments, more products which will be in the same domain as such. Brands will start looking towards indigeneity. It will look towards the traditional garments which are more comfortable than Western wear, and we'll see a lot of silverware garments coming back in trend at large. Also products which will be mostly focused with the issues of silver hair. For example, this interesting Bowel, which was designed by Mr. Satish Gokhale and got an India Design Award, is basically for the patients of Alzheimer and multiple other issues where the hand shakes. So the Bowel is designed as such. Or that glass or a bottle which basically talks about a way of drinking without bending the neck as part. We'll also see multiple healthcare products. For example, this product which was again designed by Satish Gokhale and team, where the nadi or the pulse is getting measured without much effort. Similarly, a non-invasive portable device or a best scanner for the abnormalities will come. This kind of products will be coming a lot in 2025 onwards because there's a healthcare race. And the last mega trend which we are looking for is a race of origin or identity, where we understand that buttons to bandanas, everything belong to India, and the Gen Zs are becoming more cautious about it. We are talking about our own identity and the identity of individuals, which will be increasing and will be mostly dominating in the market of 2025. Products like Hasya, basically an indigenous cutting device, is actually not a sickle. So the genericity or generic terminologies to convert Indian products into Western meaning will be getting protested at large. And we always talk about this particular context where we say ghee is not clarified butter, ghee is ghee, because it's a different product. So this kind of arguments will be raising a lot. We also say that a lehenga is not a lean length skirt, lehenga is lehenga. There's a difference between both of them, and this will raise a lot in the context of identity as such. VisionNxt is already part of it. VisionNxt is already creating taxonomies for the Indian wear for past 3 years. We have already uploaded these taxonomies across our social media and multiple domains. A book on Indian taxonomy is available in VisionNxt website, where we have identified lehenga through AI, and our machine identifies lehenga as lehenga and not a long skirt. More on VisionNxt you can read in our website. You can scan the QR code and download our trend book. We are looking forward to have you with us in our journey for 2025. Have a good time in next year. Thank you.